All right, this meeting is called to order. Secretary will call the roll.
Jim, here. Lee, here. Aloha.
Here.
Craig, here. Mary Ann. Bill, here.
All right. Can we have the people playing basketball go ahead and stop? Sorry, we have a meeting going on. Thank you. All right, the previous minutes of the last month's meeting have been distributed. Are there any corrections that anyone has to those minutes? All right. No. If there are no corrections, we'll go ahead and approve those. And everyone has a copy of the agenda for this evening? All right, watch out, the wind's blowing a little bit. So as far as the agenda goes, I just want to take out the portion down there under unfinished business and general orders under subscription-based email service. And that will actually be in my report this evening. Are there any other changes that anyone would like to make to the agenda? No. So all those who approve of the agenda as we have it, with the exception of that strike through subscription-based email service, all those that approve it, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Here comes the rain. All right. So we'll start with the President's report. I have a number of subjects just to report on. First, concerning legal, the litigation that was initiated by me and others is still ongoing. The pre-trial hearing was held on April 9th, and the hearing for summary judgment was held on April 23rd. The April 9th hearing was for the attorneys and was, to my understanding, basically a procedural matter. The April 23rd hearing yielded a non-ruling written order that took a little over a month to come out. Another hearing is scheduled for June 22nd. On March 20th, Lincoln Ishida withdrew his services as legal counsel for the LCA, and this board has since retained the services of Revere Associates as general counsel. For the roads project, we have informed the community through Facebook, Nextdoor, and the LCA website the most recent updates concerning the roads. One of our major obstacles to starting construction was not owning the roads. Through cooperation and constant work with the county and others, we have overcome this obstacle and can move forward with getting the permits required to begin work. Other hurdles we have to overcome are: 1, funding; 2, the time it takes to get permits, because now it's going to be just that waiting time. You still have to get them submitted. And 3, the priority of areas to fix at this time, since we don't have enough money to fund everything that's in the project, according to the bids that were received. And as we discuss this as a board tonight in executive session, the contract, the bids that have been proposed, as soon as we have a decision made on that stuff, we will disseminate that information to the community as well. There's recently been an incident wherein someone's dog killed another dog. While the handling of this incident has become a police matter, it becomes evident the importance of abiding by the leash policy of our community. This speaks to the importance of owners maintaining control of their dogs. When not on personal property, dogs must be on a leash and controlled. For those members who contract for construction or do your own construction, please remember that you're responsible for any damages to other properties other than your own. We ask that you do everything you can to keep construction equipment off the roads and easements of Leilani Estates. And I don't know if there are people that came yesterday to the revitalized Puna. Did anyone here come to participate? Okay, so we had a number. And personally, I thought from my perspective, it went pretty well. From what I could gather from the conversations from the county people, they were pleased with what happened as well, and that they got as much participation as they did. And it's the first of apparently many events that will happen. They're going to do it on a quarterly basis. And basically, this undertaking by the county is an attempt to unite the various organizations in Puna to work out solutions to the rebuilding of Puna heading into the future. It's designed to not only talk about things, but to also take action and do things correctly. So, also, if you were there, you may have also learned that they are still on track for doing Pohoiki Road starting in September. My understanding is that project or that portion is still with FEMA getting their approval. Of course, they've also let us know that they will be redoing Highway 137 and also have plans to repair the boat ramp at Pohoiki. Last month we talked about subscription email service. We approved finding a subscription email service, thinking that because the previous board used MailChimp, we figured out we didn't have anything in place. But I spent a lot of hours researching various email subscription services, about 5 of them. And as I was going through that information, I thought, well, all these email services also host websites. And I'm like, well, we already have GoDaddy. Is there some reason it can't host or do this email subscription? So as I looked further into it and delved into the website, we actually do have an email subscription service, which last night I finished going through the membership records to get an email list done. There's about 500 names that are now in that. And that was one of those things that we had asked from the previous board, was to get that email list. We never did receive any of that, so we had to work to get that done ourselves. As far as LCA documents, our members have a right to acquire certain documents of the LCA. Those documents and document types you can obtain are enumerated within state law HRS 421J-7. If you wish to obtain any LCA documents, you must do so via affidavit and expressly stating that you understand that the information is requested in good faith for the protection of the interests of the association, its members, or both. For anyone who uses these documents improperly, we as a board will seek any legal means available to rectify the offense. So that's the president's report. I'll turn the time over to Greg for the treasurer's report. Yes?
Are you going to require the affidavit be notarized like the previous board?
Yes. If you'll add something about, we're going to talk about the SBA and all too a little bit. Okay. Oh, okay. We only have Diane. Diane, you probably didn't hear that, but the question from Rod Kendall was, are we going to require notarization of the affidavits? And yes, we are. I'll turn the time over to Greg.
Okay, just a few things I want to mention. We've been having some issues trying to get some of the information together because the files were not left in file cabinets here, and we've had no success getting any of the information back from the old board. We have an issue with the $15,000 security grant that they got from the county. I've been contacted by the county, and I either have to come up with receipts or we have to give the money back. Also, when we looked at the bank accounts, we found there was a note in there for $17,000. I asked Renee at the bank, what's with the note? Well, they took a $17,000 PPP loan, and that also required steps. If you took the steps, it could be forgiven. There's no records in there at all that anything's been done. We may have to repay that. That's another 17,000. I'm still working on the SBA loan. I just had an answer back from them again day before yesterday, and they're still backlogged. It's taking time, so it's going to be a couple more weeks before we get a loan officer assigned to it. So anyways, hopefully that'll be reinstated. That was another issue with the files not being complete. There was a document in there showing that it had been canceled per the previous treasurer's instructions on, I think it was February of 2020. Then there was one more letter after that from SBA to the treasurer saying, if you want it reinstated, this is what you need to do. And that was kind of confusing for me because in August last year, they said they were taking $25,000 out of the loan to keep it running. At that point, the loan wasn't even there from what we figured out. Eileen was able to get a copy of the letter that apparently it had been reinstated in November and it had to be worked on within 6 months. We found out 2 days after the expiration of that. So that's what we've been going through, trying to get some of this stuff together. So anyways, anybody have any questions about any of that stuff?
I do. For those that don't know, there's two potential sources of funding for the road. One is the initial grant, which we have received, we've been approved for. The second is this potential SBA loan, which is a distinction. It's not a grant, it's a loan, low interest loan. And that's what Greg's talking about. It's for a significant amount of money. And if in fact it gets reinstated, combined, those come much closer to at least addressing the road project 1 and 2. Is that correct? Did I say that correctly? A little bit closer. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we have any kind of legal remedy to go against the previous board members for the official records of the LCA that they're not providing to us, that they either lost or are reluctant to share with us. It just doesn't make sense to me that we cannot obtain official LCA documents from a board that has refused to cooperate. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, currently, Revere and Associates is trying to put pressure on them to get us those things that belong to the LCA.
All right, great, thank you.
Okay, the balance sheets were posted on the website, but just briefly go over it. You can see. Our total checking and savings as of the end of May was $475,019.11. Our receivables are $396,442.71. That's kind of that's something Kim and I are working on now. There's few accounts in there that are really considered bad debt that they try to collect on, haven't been able to collect on it. So at some point we'll likely move them into a bad debt to get this amount more realistic. We're trying to get it together again and turn over to collections. We have Mike Patrick from Pacific Recovery working for us before. They did a pretty good job, but there was some issues in between when I was on the board before and now, so hopefully we'll get them back on board. So, anyway, anybody have any questions on the bill?
Yeah, I just need to, in regards to the note that you found at the bank, the $17,000 note, did they give you any documentation of who, when it was taken out, who signed for it?
All the picture was
Without documentation. So we don't know who the note was from. Oh, okay. Okay.
with regard to the past dues or otherwise bad debt, I understand there's a procedure where the board can file against someone. So if there's a transfer of ownership, in other words, if someone sells the property, we can put a lien. Is that automatic, or is that something we must do one by one by one?
There is a policy and a procedure that was in place for years. The last couple of years, they didn't follow it. That's what Kim and I again are working on that, trying to figure out. We don't know if they did any liens. We don't think they did any liens. But there was a whole process of around October of every year we check. We have a, if they owe this much money, obviously they haven't paid. So it's like anything older than 2 years. And we start off with a past due statement and a letter saying, we are willing to work with you. If you want to set up a payment plan, let us know and we'll work that out. And we got quite a few responses that way as well. Then if they don't respond, we give them one more try, and then at that point, I think the letter says the lien will go on the property and will be turned over to collections. And we take, the collection agency was charging us 38%. So before we turned it over to Mike for collection, we added 38% to it, so we weren't losing anything.
Any other questions for Greg? Okay. We'll go ahead. Does our architectural committee have a report?
No, nothing. We haven't received any documents.
Okay, so we have no report from the architectural committee. You said you had no.
Can I
Sure.
ask a question? The architectural committee, how many plans are in progress that you cannot work on or move forward with? Do you have any idea? We were told by the previous board that they had 5, but we've seen nothing, so we just don't know at this juncture.
So these 5 properties are building as far as you know, or not building?
We have no idea, because we don't know which 5 properties there are.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Rod.
So the architectural committee took over for the CCNR committee, but if an individual in the community has documentation that was turned into the previous CCNR committee, would you like that information, sir?
Yes, certainly. And that was one of the things we asked for last month in the board meetings, that if anybody had turned in any plans or anything for building, that they would go ahead and give those to us, since we haven't had any cooperation with the previous board to get those. Yes?
I'm not talking building plans, I'm specific to CCNR complaints.
Yes. Yes, because the architectural committee is the one that governs CCNR, so we just disbanded and got rid of the CCR committee and put it back to what it's supposed to be. So, any other questions? Okay. So, you have a report from the Aloha committee? That's you. You're it.
Thank you. We've been working on, several of us, putting together this Aloha packet to give to new homeowners, and a welcome letter. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but it's up here on the desk. I should have more copies to be sent out, and I'd like to make a motion that we send these out, the welcome letter, perhaps also the Aloha welcome packet, to all new homeowners since the first of the year. But that would require us to get a list of those people, perhaps, from Kim, if that's acceptable, or I don't know these things. But right, but I'd like to send them a new one from the new board. That's what I'm getting at. Perhaps.
So Mary
So to
has
speak.
made a motion to go ahead and give a packet to all new members within the community. We can discuss it. Yes. Then we'll go open the floor for debate at this time.
Discussion,
yes.
for those who have not seen this document, Marianne deserves kudos. She put a lot of work into this. It's a very nice letter, and the packet includes a lot of information about local services, where to buy propane, where the grocery stores are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's nice maps in there, a lot of very useful information. So I would argue that we should approve that and give Marianne a hearty thank you.
So you're seconding?
I'll second. Thank you.
Richard, did you have a?
Can we participate in this session?
You absolutely can.
So as members of the Aloha Committee, it's a little confusing because what we proposed was a new welcome letter. And a meet and greet that happens quarterly, and we were talking about scheduling it up to on 31st. And so that document is actually evolving still. I mean, even in the last day or two, I've added like 6 things to it, and we haven't managed to finalize the document. So our intention was to have the meet and greet quarterly and hand that out to the people who show up for the meeting. And of course, it could be also sent out electronically as a PDF. But it's still, I guess my point is, it's still a work in progress. It's not, it wasn't intended to send out to everybody to buy all the copies.
Okay.
The welcome letter.
Just the welcome. Okay, so let's go ahead and clarify then, clarify that motion. So the motion is to mail out the welcome letter to all new homeowners since the beginning of the year. Okay, so that's the motion on the table right now. So it's just the welcome letter, not the entire packet, like I said. Thank you. Yes?
Just one more point, because I know Bill is certainly interested in it. The old welcome letter said that it required you to have a concrete apron at your driveway entrance, and that's not in the CCRs, and it's not even in the apron policy which happened in 2016. So that's not in the letter anymore at all. There's no requirement for a concrete apron.
Not in it, okay. So as it is written, right? Okay. Do we have any debate on that? Go ahead and we do vote by roll call. Lee?
Yes. Jim? Yep. Lee, yes. Kayla? Greg? Yes. Marianne? Yes. Phil?
Yes.
All right. So just to clarify, the packet, the Aloha packet that's going out to everybody is still a work in process, and so we look forward to seeing that hopefully next month.
Yeah, because we want to have it for the July 31st, the very first quarterly meet and greet, which is I think the July 31st.
July 31st, yeah, we were talking about doing 4 to 5 p.m. We'd like to put that on the calendar. What I was gonna.
Okay. And so I think it's best if we also try to get that posted to the website before the next meeting as well, so all the members can see what you've got planned.
And hopefully come and greet their neighbors.
And hopefully, yes, come and greet your new neighbors. Right. Anything else, Marianne?
I did have a request. Just a request to, for the calendar. Perhaps that would be Lee, since I believe he's updating the calendar on the website. We print out one monthly and have it on that bulletin board outside so that people can walk up and actually see what's going on. I learned the other day we have line dancing now. Didn't know. Right, it's in, but I haven't seen it on the outside of the building. Okay, can I put it on the bulletin board, please? Thanks.
Anything else? Mark.
How many new property owners will we have?
I know I don't have the answer to that question. I don't know if anyone else does either without speaking to Kim about that.
How many property owners do we have? New property owners do we have? Does anyone?
We don't have that information. That's something we'll have to investigate and get back to you with. All right. Anything else, Mary Ann? All right. All right, we were going to have the maintenance manager report. He is not, oh, okay. Greg is going to step in for the maintenance manager to give us a report on that. All right, we have a question from Jim first.
With regard to new people moving in, there's two categories, people that are buying and moving in, and also tenants that are just moving in tiny leases. Did they get a welcome letter too? Okay. Okay, only property.
Okay, so these welcome letters and packets will just go to property owners. Okay, thank you. And they'll be available in the office as well. All right, with that, I'll turn the mic back over to Greg for maintenance manager report.
Okay, I got this from Michael today. He's currently working on the sidearm machine on the streets, trying to cut all the overgrown areas. What's left from his original startup of this project are the streets from here down. As soon as he finishes that, the tractor is going in for major repairs. There's some bolts need to be replaced on it. The air conditioner hasn't worked for 3 years. So when Michael's up there cutting with the sidearm, he's enclosed in that cab with no air. So he's trying to put fans and all kinds of stuff in there. The problem, one of the main problems of getting it fixed is that the company that sold us the tractor didn't have someone that was able to fix the air conditioner. Well, now they do. So as soon as he finishes the streets down here, they'll be coming to pick it up, and I'm not looking forward to that repair estimate. The other tractor, he just got it repaired, the one they use for scraping the side of the streets. He just got part of it repaired, took it out, used it once, and then another thing went wrong with it, a hydraulic leak, so he's got to take that part back in now to be fixed. The street signs that were in a mess have all been replaced. So if you happen to see any out there when you're out there that we missed, just drop a note at the office. Okay, the basketball hoops, Michael's been working on that. The backboards are, some of them are actually welded direct to the building. So what he's suggesting is that we replace the hoops and we'll just repair the backboards. So he got three quotes, and the hoops are pretty much the same as we have right now. We got the quotes for the same equipment from 3 different companies. The highest bid was $1,258. The lowest one was $776, and that's including the freight. So, anyways, I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and purchase the replacements at $776.48.
All right, Greg has made a motion to replace the rims and the nets. We'll go ahead and open the floor for debate. And it was for the amount of $776.48. So we'll go ahead and open the floor for debate, and we'll allow. It's just for the 4 rims and the nets.
By the way, I spoke to Michael too. These have been here about 8 years, I think he said, anyway, long time. And since I live so close, they're heavily utilized. I mean, there's people here every single day, 7 days a week. For the $700, if we get another 8 years out of identical, these are called double rims, that would be a bargain.
Phil.
Point out, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later if I can, but we do not have a capital budget. So this is another absolutely capital budget. I think it's a very good thing to do. I probably will vote in favor of doing it, but I would encourage all of us to wait for expenses so that they don't show up Yes, but again, I think that as I'm going to discuss, the rec fund is in reality a reserve fund. And so I'm going to suggest that we consolidate all of our funds into a reserve fund.
You can't do that, Phil, because the money for the rec fund, you can't use association fees for anything with part of the rec fund. So what they developed years ago was whenever somebody buys property, it's a $2 million transfer fee. The transfer fee goes into the rec fund. So that's why we use the rec fund.
But I think we could account for that money. Saying this is a restricted reserve fund, it's part of the overall reserve fund. So that would be my, so again, I think it's a great idea, but I would just encourage us, perhaps we move off, it's going to be a month anyway. I don't know how long we have before we can spend the money, but I'd like to get come up with a number of other things that have come up. Engineering plans, a lot of stuff. Capital.
Yeah. Is that something we want to consider, maybe just looking at the budget before? Yeah.
That would be my suggestion, but I don't want to stand up with a motion because they need to be replaced.
Yeah.
Time is
Okay. Okay. So any more debate? We don't need a second. No. Any more debate on the motion? Are we ready to take a vote? Okay, so we'll go ahead and call a vote on this. Sorry, the motion is that we go ahead and purchase new rims and nets here. Now, yeah.
Jim?
Yes.
Lee? Yes. Kayla?
Yes.
Greg? Yes. Mary Ann? Phil?
Yes.
Okay, the motion has been approved for the amount that you stated, Greg. Okay.
Okay, the next item is, as you can see, we're sitting in subdued lighting here. We found out these fixtures that we have here are actually fluorescent, but you can convert them to LED lights. So I checked with the company we bought them from originally. They don't even have them in stock. If they had them, the last time they got their order, it was almost $22 each. Michael went on Amazon and found the LED bulbs. We can get them for $13.50 each. We also found a lift that's available that'll work in here. It's a 32-foot lift. They rent it for $150 a day. The only issue with it is it has to be delivered and picked up, and it's $150 each way for that also. So totally, we're looking at $450 to change the lights. Jim had mentioned about we were going to have some kind of a lift or something over there, but Michael said he wasn't sure what fit in.
But I'll talk to Michael about it. I like the idea of two separate items. One is purchases of bulbs. They need to obviously be purchased. Are we talking about getting them for all of the units?
Yeah.
Okay. And then secondarily address the lifting. We're going with the least expensive option. My recommendation.
Yeah, this.
The fixture,
Nope, just change the bulb.
these have ballast. Those have ballast.
These do, but the LED bulbs work in according to
The LED work with the ballast to what happens with the ballast. Yeah, the ballast is high. That's the part of the rest of the fixture. How, I don't understand it. I've never seen an LED.
mean, I bought this over. And I gave him the part number and everything. He said, all you gotta do is buy a new one. Alright, so what I'm gathering from this is maybe we should just put this on lay this on the table for now, so we can do a little bit more research to find whether or not we gotta replace the valves or what other information we need. We'll take them out or whatever. Okay, that's right, you're on the electrical engineer, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and delve into that a little bit more and do some more investigating as to what needs to be done to fix the lights here in the pavilion. Yes, Jim. If it's under 500. True. That's right. Do you have anything else, Greg?
Since it's maintenance report, I just want to thank Michael for detailing the playground before our big event yesterday. The place looked really nice. Thanks, Michael.
All right. David, do you have a question?
Yeah, Greg mentioned street signs. Does that include control signs like stop signs? I know there are a couple that look kind of ragged.
No, I think it's just the street name signs. Is that correct, Greg? Just the street name signs. So we're done with the maintenance manager report. We're going to go ahead and turn the mic over to Phil. He has some okay. All right. Yep. That's true. That needs to go down there farther. All right. So we've next on the agenda is the roads project. I already brought that up in my report. Do we have anyone here from Neighborhood Watch that would like to? Oh, you have a.
I'd like to know if there's a place we can go to look at the proposed roads that are involved and the bids.
Okay, so they're on the LCA website. Are you on the Facebook, either one of the Facebook pages? I made a post recently about the roads project, and I actually put a link in that post directly to the page that has all that information. It shows all the roads that are part of this project. So,
Just a brief question. Are you thinking of defraying some of the costs by letting the county do Leilani all the way down and across so we don't have to pay for all that going down to, like, say, Mamukai?
Sorry, I can't quite hear you well enough with this rain and stuff.
Okay. Are we looking at defraying some of the costs by letting the county pay for Leilani all the way down and over to Pohoiki? Are we planning to use Kahukai as a go-through?
Okay, there's not going to be a go-through.
Okay.
Okay, the plan is for the county to do the stub on Leilani only up so far, just so we can tie into that on the Kahukai portion, tie from Leilani Avenue to the Kipuka. That's it.
Okay, so you're not planning to clear Kahukai all the way up into the couple miles?
No. No.
Because the county was doing it on Leilani for nothing.
Yeah, the county's doing Leilani and they're only doing that portion.
Okay.
There's been some talk about the rest of it, but it's only been talk.
So the county would consider going the whole way, a couple miles, and they can tie in Ohio, kind of get, like you get from Ohio access to Leilani and Kahukai. You're not planning to go that far.
I'm sorry. Maybe you can come up a little closer. I just can't hear that well. The rain's just getting too loud. So far we've had it good the last few meetings where we haven't had any rain, and so it's been relatively easy to hear, but
my question is, when looking at Leilani going all the way down Leilani to Pohoiki, is about the same as clearing Kahukai all the way down to Pohoiki and allowing two access points to get out. So if you take Leilani all the way down, it also gets Nohea some access, not to go all the way over to Kahukai, but to be able to go over to Leilani and straight. Is there any discussion on how far the county is willing to go with Leilani?
right now the county only has plans to do this, that small portion, just so we can tie in to get to the Kibuka. That's it. Okay? All right, thank you. So, sure. Jim has a comment.
The county is getting most of its money for these projects from the federal government, one or two or three different entities. They're very, very open. Yesterday, the people responsible from the county were here in this very pavilion, but otherwise, they're open and amenable to go down and talk to them. They're just hugely accessible. So whatever your concerns, suggestions, ideas are, I encourage you to talk to the county because it's beyond what we as a board can impact.
Thank you, Jim. The other thing with the county is they are not doing any new improvements. The money that they get from the federal government does not allow them to do that. So it's only stuff that was already existed prior to the eruption. Nothing new. So now we're going to go ahead and have Richard come up and give us a little neighborhood watch report.
So in the last neighborhood watch meeting, we re-elected the 4 board members who have been serving for 2 years, and it's a 2-year term. And all 4 board members were willing to run, and there was no 5th person who put themselves up to run. So they were re-elected. A new position of events coordinator was formed, and I believe that position is also going to be on the board. That's K-Teach. Teach. No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to read my notes in the dark. Rainbow Rangers now has officers for animal control. We've missed having that for the last almost a year, and so HPD now is not the only place to call for animal control. You can actually call Rainbow Rangers, and they have officers who can issue citations and impound problem dogs or whatever. And then we continue to have new volunteers sign up on the Saturday garage sales, and we're training those people on a monthly basis. And then this last month we had Mark held a meeting with the block captains, and some good information was shared with us by Mark Ellis about the county, how you can make a complaint to the county for these places that have junk cars. There's actually an ordinance that defines any property with more than 2 unregistered vehicles as a junkyard, and you have to have a permit to be operating a junkyard. So we sent that link to the complaint form out to everyone in Neighborhood Watch. And if anyone else is interested, just let me know, and I can send you that link.
Thank you, Richard. All right, with that, do we have any oh, sorry.
Okay, so I'm on Neighborhood Watch, and I go around, I'm almost out there every day. I go by that place on my e-lay, and those guys from that yard are screaming at me every day that I go by. I don't even think they know who I am or what I do. but they scream at me because I'm on a bike. Well, the other day, they drove by me on a pickup truck, and the guy leaned out the window, and he's beating on his door, and he's yelling at me about being on my bike and going out there, and what am I doing, you know. And I went back later, and his truck was parked in there, so I'm thinking those people are fairly dangerous, and if we have to put our names on a complaint, they're gonna come after you. I mean, they're already after me for some reason, which I don't even understand. They're always screaming at me and driving at me with their trucks, and I don't get it. So it might be kind of dangerous for those people to be cited by anybody with their name and address on there, because I'm thinking they're not averse to coming after you personally.
Richard, I'm assuming they probably have some way of complaining anonymously, would be my guess. Right. Right. Sometimes it's not a wise thing to do. Right. Okay. Let's see. So do we have any approved expenses from last time that we need to go over? Any expenses we need to approve going forward? Okay, one final item of business, I'll turn over to Phil.
Thank you, Kale. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Thank you. Thank you for the welcome. I appreciate that. That was class. Anyway, I wanted to just take a minute and talk about some unfinished business. I briefly mentioned earlier the capital budget. This is in addition to the operating budget, which we've already approved. The capital budget, to remind everyone, is to plan for expenses that are for big ticket items or unexpected things. We've already mentioned a number of things that fall in this category tonight, including equipment repair and of course the road repair, which is the major one. Greg and I are working on that and currently reviewing the reserve study that was done by the previous board, which is excellent, by the way, once we finally got a copy of it. And so we hope to be able to submit that capital budget rather before the next board meeting. The other issue that I'd like in conjunction with that in conjunction with that is to establish a formal reserve fund to allow us to fund this capital budget. So we, as the discussion you've already heard tonight, there are some issues that we have to resolve about how the monies that we currently have can be or need to be segregated, particularly for the recreation fund. I would also like to begin a discussion about making both bathrooms ADA compliant. Apparently one is ADA compliant now, and I'd like to pursue that. I think that both ought to be ADA compliant. I'm not certain where we stand with the repairs on the bathroom at the moment, but there were some repairs done recently to the wall. So thank you again to Michael for that. As far as the operating budget goes that we've already approved, I would like to suggest that we present to the members not only the monthly financial statements, which Greg does well, but I'd like to have a comparison document prepared as well. I don't know how difficult that will be, but I'd like to compare what the actual expenses were to the projected expenses that we've used to create our operating budget. So I would like to take on that project as well. The last business, unfinished business, is there's still a lot of invasive trees here in our subdivision. I wanted to give Michael Jaudillo, or rather Mark Jaudillo, a shout out for helping with the albesias, but we have a lot more work to do, and with the board's approval, I would like to take on that task to continue what I did on my board service last time. Okay, so that's all I have under unfinished business. I do have a couple of items of new business as well, if this is the appropriate time to do that. Yes. There's a bit of unfinished business, as the members may recall. A partial cash audit was performed by the association's accountants. It was submitted in December of 2019. It made a number of recommendations. I would like, with the board's approval, to pursue addressing each of those recommendations that were made. Some of them, of course, have already been addressed, but I'd like to do that in a more formal sort of way. So with the board's permission, I would do that as well. There's also been a suggestion by Jim Penny that we may need to discuss further, and that is to arrange for a further audit. I'm not certain whether he had in mind a true forensic audit or another cash audit, but that's something I'd like to discuss as well. The last item of new business that I'd like to bring up is to talk about the pigs. The pigs, as we all know, wreak havoc in here and make our maintenance manager's job much more difficult. I would like to have a discussion about this. In particular, I would like to suggest that we as an association buy a number of pig traps and try and figure out a way to deal with the pigs that we hopefully catch. So there's some work to be done to deal with this, but I think it's time that we begin that process. So, thank you.
So just quickly about the pigs, concerning the pigs, I've already spoken with Mark, and also, now I forgot his name, Kaluna, what's the last name? Kaluna. And so Mark had a pretty good idea about setting up a place where you can fence them in, right, Mark? And be able to catch a whole bunch at one time. And so maybe that's something we need to look farther into, along with Kalani. You want?
Along that line, I've been trapping in a couple cages that I had set out on Miley Street. I only caught like 2. But they're all out there. These pigs are very smart. You know?
Mark, what do you do with them when you catch them?
I clean them and I give the people who want them. Yeah. I dress them.
You have enough of them to do. You need a few more.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and we have another comment? Sorry, can we have those in the back just to lower your voices a little bit, please?
There's a pig bait that's in Australia that has an ingredient called sodium nitrite that will kill pigs but no other mammals because it's specific to a pig's metabolism of oxygen and hemoglobin, and it starves their blood of hemoglobin. So you can put this pig bait out safely, and pigs will eat it, and other animals, even if they get into it, will not be harmed, including birds and other mammals. So I am not sure if that is yet approved in the U.S. It was under consideration for approval for the U.S. because we have a terrible pig problem on the mainland as well as here. Now, barring no approval of the pig bait that's available in Australia, you can get sodium nitrite, and you can bait pigs with that and just by the sodium nitrate. It will kill pigs and not other mammals because it starves them of hemoglobin oxygen carrying capacity, which means they suffocate. It's not a pretty death, but it does very effectively get rid of pigs. So you might look into either seeing if that product is approved yet. It was under consideration a couple of years ago and might be approved. Or actually setting up feeding stations laced with sodium nitrite, which is readily available and is not a toxin or anything, and considering killing them that way. It will kill them far more effectively than trapping them.
Thank you. Any more business to bring forth? Okay, we'll go ahead and open the floor to members for any questions. Richard?
This is a topic probably Mark and Gene are also interested in. We're all on topic 5. So I'm just curious what the status of the separate request for bids for the asphalt street project on topic 5.
Okay, thank you. I meant to get back to you on that. As I spoke with Bruce, who's the lead engineer at Okahara, he felt that it wasn't appropriate to ask him to do that with the bids. And looking at the funding that we're at right now, we need to look at that a little bit more since we can't even, we don't have the funding for the project to complete the whole project itself. So as the board, I think our intention was to try to get some speed humps over there, and we'll look at that with the winning bid winner. We'll figure that out.
I read the update on the website, but in order to
It's Grover Construction and Willocks Construction.
I know where there's some speed bumps though, just laying on the ground.
no, they're in the backyard.
Yes.
When we met as an Aloha committee, we were coming up with dates and everything. We looked at the calendar online, and there was nothing on it. So kudos or whatever to, I guess it's whoever in this week, all of a sudden everything's back on the calendar. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, they linked it up with the new kind of account on Gmail we created. So,
Good job.
any other questions or comments, Mark?
Yeah, I got 2 issues that I want to kind of bring back up. And the prior board meetings we talked about it, but I just want to ask the board, will they consider to put the barriers back in place on the south end of the Luana Street?
On the south end, you mean where Samuel's at?
Yes.
That really hasn't been a discussion lately. I think part of that is, Sam does access his land almost every day, from what I understand from talking to Samuel. So, and I know he did get permission from the county to remove that barrier.
Oh, you didn't get permission from the board?
The previous board, we weren't part of that, so I don't know, that's something I guess we still need to discuss, and we haven't yet. We've been primarily focusing on the roads, trying to.
You have no right to remove it.
Well, I can't say that. There could be some discussion about rights. The fact that he had land out there and wanted to get there, there is that right. So, but like I said, we weren't part of that whole thing. And it's just my understanding he did get permission from the county to do that, since I think they're the ones that put them up, right? The barriers? Oh, we did? Okay, so anyway, we haven't pursued that. And then that's something I guess we can talk about.
The other issue is at the previous board meeting, the gentleman from the mainland that bought a property in here.
Oh, Robert Hall,
Yeah.
Jr.?
What will become of that issue?
I think that's kind of up to him. The fact is any member can go about trying to change the CC&Rs. It doesn't have to go through the board to be done. The bylaws, or I wouldn't say the bylaws, but the CC&R, so long as someone can get 75% of the membership to go along with that idea, it's possible and totally overstep the board. So as far as coming to us, he hasn't, since that meeting, he hasn't really come to us, but like I told him, he has the ability to make those changes on his own. You read the bylaws and whatnot, and look at the various parts of our documents. You know, he actually doesn't need to go through us to do that.
Well, as far, I totally disagree with that.
Yeah, and I think many people disagree with it, and thus lies the difficulty in changing the CC&Rs to accommodate that. I agree. Yeah, to my understanding, they've never been changed. The only thing that's been changed is maybe the interpretation of some of the CC&Rs based off of judgments that have been made in court. I think one regarding height, and I can't remember what the other one was, but drive. Yes. Okay. So, yeah, those things don't need to be changed necessarily. If a member can get enough people together to come together, they can make those changes and without having to go through the board. Any other questions?
Mark, if I could just respond to your comments. I think speaking as an individual board member, I do not support this proposal for any housing, what do you call it, micro housing. However, I would disagree that we should reestablish the barrier at the one. I think we should beat it down not only to Sam Estes, but there's a number of other people who own lots on that portion of the lawn who now have access that they didn't have before. I agree that we need, as a board, to continue to discuss this issue. It's an important one. But again, that's just my own position, and we have not established a position yet, as far as I know.
That's correct. Any other questions? All right, Marianne. Yeah, we're in the open forum portion, yes.
My request is to put on the calendar LCA community garden weeding every Monday from 8 to 9 a.m. Contact me and we'll start it like up by the Longhouse, an hour there. It's a way to meet your neighbor too, get dirty. And I'd like to donate half a load of mulch over here and plant some collo that I have donated also. So I'm hoping that might be all right because Ashley's coming to my house tomorrow and I can split a load. So I'm putting that before the board because I think I have to. Thank you.
All right, so any other comments or questions? If not, we're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting, and then we're going to reconvene in executive session once this is done. So all those in favor of adjourning this meeting, so say so by saying aye. Anybody opposed? All right, this meeting is adjourned.